Hello, everybody. I'm Jay Lynn, and we're here in my Minecraft Survival Let's Play world, which also happens to be my forever world. Been in this world a little over a year and a half now, almost 3,000 Minecraft days, and yeah, I'm feeling like we're getting pretty well established here, and I'm really liking the whole forever world approach, and I'm glad that it's kind of a craze on YouTube at the moment, so I thought I'd jump on that wagon and just do a video kind of just going over some general tips and just my overall thoughts on my approach to doing a forever world like this. And yeah, we'll see if we can inspire a couple of you to start your own forever world. So yeah, this is our spawn area here, which is definitely our main area. And we got a few other areas built up as well that we'll probably see throughout this video here. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of explore a little bit and go over some of my thoughts, starting with if you're planning on doing a forever world, I think it's really important to pick out a seed. You don't need to do a whole bunch of exploring or anything. You're still going to have plenty to explore, but just make sure there's something that's going to keep you inspired to want to stay in the world and just going to keep you busy for a while. And I have a couple rules I like to follow. One is I like to have a cool enough spawn area. It doesn't have to be exactly where I plan on living forever, but a cool enough spawn area just because I do like to build up spawn a little bit. And in this world, we spawned right where the house is there. That's exactly where we spawned in. And I just liked the idea of being on this bay here and starting up this top of this hill is my whole kind of starter base area. And yeah, I just liked the idea of filling in this bay, and obviously we've been doing pretty good so far, I would say. But yeah, so I liked my spawn enough just because it's just comes in handy to have some builds at spawn. And this ended up being my main area so far, I would say. But then I did just a little bit of exploring to make sure that there was something that was gonna be a good long-term goal. And here I am a year and a half later, and I still haven't even came over here yet and started building. But that's also kind of cool about a forever world, is there's always something to look forward to, and this is definitely a big one. I think this is one of the coolest jungle mountain areas I've ever really seen. And yeah, when I saw this, I was thinking, at this point, I know there's enough in the seed to keep me busy for a very long time, not to mention that we got a little bit of cool generation I saw over here as well with a few of the snowy mountains and a cherry grove here. And this was right at the cherry grove update, so I wanted to have a cherry grove. So just this little bit of exploration was enough to keep me confident that it was going to be a seed that I was going to stay interested in for a while. And then of course I ended up finding a whole bunch of other cool stuff as we started exploring, but this was enough to make me want to commit to the seed. But yeah, we'll make our way back to the base over here. Another tip if you're planning on a forever world is be smart about your exploring. And that's another good reason to just kind of have a seed picked out where you know you're not going to have to just unlock a whole bunch of chunks as you explore to find where you want to live. Because you want to be prepared for the new updates to come out. You don't want to have to travel so far to get to the new stuff. So me, for example, when I started this world, for the first, I'm pretty sure it was at least a year, I didn't travel east at all. I saw this village over here, so I used this village, but I didn't go past that very far in any direction. So I just did all my traveling pretty much out this direction. And that way, when the new update came out, which was the Trail Ruins, I didn't have to go very far for it to be able to start generating. I actually ended up getting real lucky and somehow having one fairly close over there. But yeah, so as I'm exploring, I'm trying to not just unlock a whole bunch of chunks. So at this point, I've traveled east, obviously. We got our Season 2 area out there, which we'll head to at some point, but I don't think I've traveled more than maybe 7,000 blocks in any direction. So as the new updates come out, at this point that's getting kind of far. Most places I haven't traveled further than 3,000 blocks. But that way, when the new updates come out, I won't have to go very far to get all the new stuff. So just kind of future-proofing your world the best you can. And another thing is, I think you want to be very strategic about your starter base, because I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty common. You end up living in your starter base for a long time. So you want it to be something that's going to contribute to your world. Now, this was my starter area up here. This was the first thing I built, was this house. And even though this wasn't the necessarily area I planned on living forever, I knew I wanted to move down there, and that if I built up here, it would just add to the area. So just kind of planning all your builds to just be things that slowly add to the rest of your builds. I know that doesn't really make sense, but it just helps the view from everywhere you look. And just what I'm doing with the spawn area is, it's kind of an anything goes area. So I'm not trying to necessarily stick with one theme, obviously, but I somehow keep things connected and looking like they somehow kind of go together. But I'm pretty loose with just my different styles and approaches over here, where, as you'll see if we travel over to the Season 2 area, which might as well start heading that way, in other areas I'm going to try to stick with the theme on a broader area, if that makes sense. So the spawn area is just kind of a freestyle, whatever I think I can build, and still it ends up weaving together. But most other areas, as I get further away, I'm going to try to stay in the same theme just for the different areas. And yeah, so here's another example of something for a forever world, is finding your pace. So like, some people play a lot faster, some people play slower. I play pretty slow. I think slower the better for a forever world, if you ask me, but everyone just do your own thing. I think I waited 600 or 700 days before I went to the end or anything. But one thing you can always do, like no matter how fast you play or not, is just move somewhere. So like I said, I hadn't traveled east in Season 1, so for Season 2 I just came out here east to areas I didn't travel, and I'm not that far from my base, but I just opened this whole new area, and I came over with absolutely nothing and just started with stone tools and all that, and I just lived here for 500 days before I allowed myself to go back to spawn. So rather than just starting a new world, just going and finding a new spot in your original world, and it's just way cooler having it all in the same world. So yeah, this is my Season 2 area, and I just really liked coming out here and going with that approach. I used to restart all the time in just different worlds, but it's just way cooler having it all in the same world in the end. And then, like I said, I survived 500 days, and then I allowed myself to go back to spawn, and now it's just, my world feels so big. And yeah, some building tips I would say, just to not run out of build ideas if you're going to be building a lot, is don't be afraid to build the same thing twice, for one thing. Like I just plan on having a whole bunch of different areas, and each area I'm just pretty much starting with a clean slate. So barns, for example, I have 3 barns at this point, 3 windmills actually as well. And it's like, yeah, I've already built a barn and a windmill, but just don't be afraid to build another one if you want to. And I try to give all my builds a little bit of purpose. That's another thing, is making the most out of any particular little project. I wanted to make a villager-powered wheat farm, for example, right here. Unfortunately, we lost our villager. I need to get another villager over here to make it work. But I just wanted to make a villager wheat farm, and I got it all set up. But then we just made a little project out of it, and rather than just having a boring old wheat farm over here, it ends up being a really cool addition to our area here. Same for the barn. I wanted to have a sheep farm. Go ahead and disguise it in a barn. We got a sheep farm hiding in there. I tend to do that with all my farms. I like to have little micro farm areas, so in each area that I'm going to be kind of living at long term, I like to set up just a little area with a bunch of little micro farms that are just passively producing some of the random crops. Like here we got some bamboo, for example, and It's not like these are huge farms by any means. These houses are kind of overkill for what they produce. Yeah, I just got some bamboo going in here, but we end up having a really cool treehouse village as a bonus. And it just gives it a little bit of purpose. And like I said, I have a whole nother setup doing the same kind of thing in my spawn area. No shame in doing it twice, but just making the most out of all your little builds rather than just having a boring little melon farm somewhere. It has its own house, and that just is another reason to have a house. So yeah, I really like our Season 2 area over here, our haunted house over here, and also trying to do a seasonal build is a fun thing to do if you're going to be in your world for a long time. I'll be doing a couple fall builds every fall, and we got a winter area actually started. Not in the episodes yet, but I've done it on stream. And while we're out here, we'll take a little peek at the Elven Cave, because that is a major part of the world. I'm not trying to make this a world tour or anything, but just giving you ideas on how to just expand and just have different areas. And like I said, I kind of treat each area as its own entity, so I don't let the fact that I've done something somewhere else prohibit me from wanting to do it again. But yeah, we'll just take a quick hop in our Elven Cave here, just so you can see it. And this whole cave project has actually become a major part of my world here. I think this is one of the cooler things I've built. I think this and my last episode in the jungle area are my two favorite builds. And yeah, that's another thing, is just as you're doing projects, trying to get to a relatively finished point. Now, these obviously, this is about the worst example of anywhere I've built so far, actually. Like, I don't have the interiors even dug out or anything, but I at least got all the buildings up and fairly detailed, and to a point where it's really cool to look at. I think a way to get discouraged in a world is if you just have a whole bunch of projects, like biting off more than you can chew and just going way too big, and having a whole bunch of projects that are halfway finished. That's a easy way to make you want to leave your world. We got our glass sky up here that changes with the night and day. Really cool. But yeah, I think you just want to try to get all your projects to a relatively finished state. Obviously, I need to come back and do like interiors and all that and give this build a purpose, but at least it's to a point where I like how it looks. And then I can come back and get it to the next level eventually. But yeah, we'll head back to the spawn area here. Now I want to reiterate the idea of not biting off more than you can chew. And that doesn't mean you can't do big projects. I look at it as just having different levels of goals. Now this is my goal board, which I actually don't really do a very good job of using, but just as a visual for you. A lot of these are like very big goals, like Jungle Mountain Starter Base, the jungle we were looking at, and Elven and Dwarven Caves. Obviously you saw my Elven Cave there, and the Jungle Bay Village, which we did last episode. So I need to update this board a little bit, but like those are pretty big goals. But then you can take those and break them into smaller goals. So like for example, one of my goals was to fill this entire island down here, which is now my villager island. My big goal was just to fill the island. And I wanted it to have free roaming villagers as well, which is a whole nother project. But obviously my big goal was to fill the island. But that was going to take months. I don't remember how many it took. But I came down here and then I just broke it up into smaller goals. Needed a starter base area, so we built this area up. Just keeping in mind kind of a long-term visual of the whole thing, but just doing things one at a time and having all the little projects add up into something bigger. So we did our starter base, and then I wanted to have a beach area down here, so I broke it up into just focusing on this little area, knowing that I planned on having a little town behind it. So we came and built the town up, and so on and so forth, and slowly but surely, like I said, I would say this might have took 5 months or so of steady work. You can check me on that, but yeah, just another project was getting the villager houses down here and getting the farm down here. Like I said, another barn and windmill, but different styles, and they were still just as fun to build. No reason to not do it twice. But yeah, just an example of breaking your big projects up into smaller projects, but just having the big visual in mind. And then even on a bigger scale, I wanted to fill this bay in. So we got the island filled up. We filled up the hill first, and then to finish it off, just last episode I did this jungle area over here. We got our iron farm up here as well, but yeah, just breaking up your goals. So like this project, for example, I started by just wanting to have 5 houses, so I focused on that for a little bit. And then I made a goal of getting a bunch of thick greenery around here. But yeah, I'm not trying to have this be so much of a building tips episode, but I guess just breaking up the goals into levels is a way to not get discouraged by. You can see I don't have any like mega builds or anything. Now, it's not that I don't ever want to do one. I do plan on. I want to get some castles built, and I'd like to build a. My big mega projects that I envision are going to be a couple big castles eventually, and I'd like to over in my season 2 area. I'd like to just build a humongous mountain. I think that would be fun too. But yeah, I'm not quite at mega project point yet. But yeah, you can just see the idea of breaking your world up into different projects. Yeah, and I'm feeling pretty good about a little list of tips here. I would also say don't feel trapped. It being your forever world doesn't mean it has to be your only world. If you really want to get that fresh start, go ahead and just start a new world, but just try to really focus on this being something you come back to and just let it evolve. I've started a couple hardcore worlds, and I even started a couple 100-day survival worlds and just broke things up a little bit, and it was fun. I didn't regret it, but just always planned on coming back to this and have it be something that slowly evolves. And now I'm to a point where I just can't wait to keep on building here and just really see what happens. I feel like for what we built in a year and a half, it's just crazy to imagine what I can build in 5 years or 10 years. So, yeah, as always, definitely appreciate you all for coming. And if you liked what you saw and want to see this world evolve, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and come back for some more. I'm trying to stay consistent and keep the videos coming for you. We're also been doing quite a bit of streaming lately, which we're actually have another forever world in. I think it's my stream only world. I just like having the separate 2 worlds, so I think I've got 2 forever worlds to be honest. But this is the main one. But yeah, as always, thank you all for coming and have a good day.